So off the back of the last few videos that I've done on my YouTube channel, I've decided to challenge myself and put together a project where I've used mainly the free plugins that I've been working with. I've done this because I want to sort of like inspire someone else, just to show you that you don't need to necessarily use a bunch of expensive plugins to get some good sounds. It comes down to your creativity and just having that inspiration to doing something that sounds good and putting together something. This is one of two projects that I've been working on just using these free plugins, and this is because I'm actually recording a course at the moment for music production, so hopefully that's going to come out soon. It's taken up a lot more of my time than I actually anticipated. Watch this space. So this is part of me just kind of experimenting with the plugins and seeing how far I can push the boundaries and how much of a professional project I can come out with. I'm not going to play through the whole thing, but I will do maybe the first half of it or something and just talk you through what's going on. It's an EDM pop track with some trap elements inside it, so just listen and enjoy. That's it for the playthrough. I'm not going to play the whole track through, like I said, because just to give you a little preview, the bulk of the track is there. I just need to clean some things up and do some more arrangement and then go through with the mixing part of it. And I will then release it online so you guys can actually hear what it sounds like. You can see up here, I've got drums as a group, and I've got all the drum tracks separated out here, and this makes it easier for applying effects on each individual piece of the instrument. The drum tracks are a sampler instrument, and I have here the TX16WX sampler. I've actually put together a kit inside this, and all the individual drum tracks are just a duplicate of the same thing, and I've just played each part of the instrument, each part of the kit on each channel. As you can see, I've got the kick, I've got some snaps, the hi-hats, I've got a snare, the snare hits, which is this portion here. If I solo that out, and I've got some chants which start around here, and I've actually got a fast snare roll which comes in at the end of some of the bars. Yeah, so just to show you what that looks like, it's literally a case of making sure your grid is small enough and putting the MIDI notes in here. And what I've done is I've adjusted the velocity to give it a more of a natural feel. So I've got the velocity a bit lower on some. Okay, so moving on, I've got a sub bass. And again, that's made up of the TX16 sampler, and I've got basically a kick type sub 808 sound in there. You need headphones or speakers to, proper speakers to actually hear this. And essentially, I've got that sound in there as well. So that's two different sounds that instrument is made up of. Along that channel, I've got some processing going on. So I do have a distortion plugin here, which is called BOD, Bass Overdrive. And I have an EQ, which is the Nova EQ. This is also a free EQ, so you can look that up. I've got some other plugins, which basically is an equalizer from Ableton and the amp from Ableton, but these are switched off, as well as the Camel Crusher. Again, this used to be a free plugin, but it's not officially available anymore, but you can find it if you search for it. So moving on, we've got the first melody. So I'm using Tunefish here on this track for the main melody, and that's essentially playing the main section here, that sound. I've got that one, and then I've got the forefront piano here. That's actually playing the secondary part of the melody, and then we move on to these twinkle. I call them the twinkle bits because they kind of add sparkle. And these are just some accent sounds at the start of the 9th bar. And then I've got the same instrument over here, which is playing essentially what's the hook. And really the hook is being done by some chopped vocals, which I'll get to in a second. But I added these twinkle bits in to give a bit more definition to the sound. Those are the vocal chops there that I've just brought in. All right, so I've got some explaining to do with the vocal chops. Essentially, I took a piece of a vocal and first of all, I chopped it to get the segment that I think would work best for playing like a straight, steady note. That's the best type of sound to go for if you're going to take a piece of vocal to actually play it as an instrument. You need to have a steady pitch in the section that you actually isolate to be used as the chopped vocal. What I did was I placed that one chop, that one sample inside the sampler, again the TX16W. And I stretched it across one octave and made sure that it was pitch enabled. Actually, what I did is I had to tune it as well to make sure it's in tune to the actual instruments. So when I'm playing the C or an F or an A, it would sound like a C, F and A, and it will blend in, it won't be confusing. I've literally just taken a snippet from a section here. So this is essentially what it would sound like. So that's the original pitch and the original vocal sound. So that's quite steady there in terms of his pitch. Whereas if you were to use another section where the person is going up and down in pitch, then that could make it a lot harder to play it as an instrument. There are some things that I did on the sampler to make the notes glide into each other. So I would have adjusted the glide settings and just added a bit of reverb as a send effect. What I did here is I resampled a part of the vocals and turned it into audio. Before I did that though, I added a long reverb to the end of it. I reversed the sample to give you kind of a rising effect. when it comes over to this bit here, it actually leads into the vocal chops. So that sounds more effective when it's right next to the vocal chops, because it's essentially the very first note that I played in the vocal chops, which is this C note there, C4. I have like a reversed cymbal here, and I have a reversed chord. I basically played a piano sound, played a chord, resampled it, the same technique that I used with the vocal chop for the reverse. And essentially I've got a reversed piano chord along with the vocals. Yeah, so essentially that's it for the track. I hope someone's learned something from this video and that it's given you some inspiration to just use what you have to make your music. Sometimes having restrictions like these where I'm literally working with just free plugins, apart from a few things that's just very basic stuff like the EQs that I've used in my DAW. I can't think of anything else that I have on here that's actually not a free plugin. That's it for me for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.